Our top focus right now is the ensuing Katchatheevu island row. A political war of words has now erupted between Congress, DMK and the Bharatiya Janata Party. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar mounted a scathing attack on the Congress and DMK and has blamed them for the arrest and harassment of a large number of Indian fishermen and fishing vessels by Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had also hit out at the DMK and Congress over the Katchatheevu issue and stated that they did not care for anyone other than themselves. The Congress, meanwhile, has accused Prime Minister Modi of using the issue as a diversion ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. DMK Chief M.K. Stalin and Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has now responded and questioned the BJP sudden love for fishermen ahead of the polls as well. Let's quickly listen into the war of words that has erupted, and then we take this larger conversation on why Katchatheevu is in fact important for Tamil Nadu forward.
मां भारती का एक अंग आजाद भारत में ये कांग्रेस के लोगों ने, इंडियन अलायंस के साथियों ने मां भारती का एक अंग काट दिया.
That the Prime Minister has only now found out that Katchatheevu was ceded away in 1974. I don't know, in the last 10 years, we would like to ask the Prime Minister what has he done in the last 10 years to retrieve Katchatheevu. The Prime Minister waxes eloquence and says, the Congress has done this. Yes, it was done in 1974.
It has been raised in the consultative committee. And in fact, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has written to me numerous times. And my record shows that to the current Chief Minister, I have myself replied 21 times on this issue. So please understand, this is not an issue which has suddenly surfaced.
All right, it's not an issue that has suddenly come up. It's been an issue for many years, is what the BJP maintains. Meanwhile, the Congress and DMK say that this is only being used as a political diversion ahead of the Lok Sabha polls. We take this conversation forward with Uma Nandan of the BJP. Major Sudhakarji also with us, Madhav Nalapat. Also with us is Captain Shyam Kumar. Let me begin this conversation with Captain Shyam Kumar. Captain Kumar, as far as the Katchatheevu issue is concerned today, sir, yes, hundreds and thousands of Indian fishermen and several Indian fishing vessels have been detained by Sri Lanka, largely due to the fact that Katchatheevu is now their territory. However, in today's context, sir, what is it that India can really do except maintain relations with Sri Lanka and ensure that we don't repeat mistakes of the past? Do you feel that there is any benefit towards raising this matter at this point in time, given that this is something, it was a decision that was taken in 1974? And yes, in hindsight is always 2020. We can always say that certain decisions, of course, of past governments, of previous leaders have been wrong. But like I said, it's usually always in hindsight that one realizes what was good and what was bad. So what do we do now in the current context?
Thank you, Devika. First of all, as far as the oceanic division of boundaries are concerned, the exclusive economic zone of the countries, starting from the coastline to say 200 nautical mile or wherever the countries are closer, by mutual agreement, it is decided that who will use the oceanic waters. So sovereign rights of the assets, islands, man-made islands, fishing rights, etc., all becomes the right of the country. So over a period of time, since India is surrounded by Arabian Sea, Ocean, Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal, and we have the islands, so we had to do certain kind of agreements, and that is how in 74 the maritime boundaries between Sri Lanka and India was founded. And in that situation, we decided that at that moment, from wherever the boundaries were made, the Katchatheevu went to the Sri Lankan side, and Mrs. Gandhi as the Prime Minister of that time, Swarn Singh being the Foreign Minister, with certain clauses. It was made in the best interest. Although the Katchatheevu island is a small island of say 200 acres, and it is very close to Jaffna, Kankasturai, and this side Rameshwaram or Talaimanar, the Adam Setu bridge. And I have been in Sri Lankan operations in this area in 1977-78. I have repatriated many Tamil refugees to India. So I have gone through this island many times. And actually, in the spirits of division, we decided that the religious rights, the fishing rights, and the traditional rights of drying their nets onto the island, because they need islands to store certain kind of equipment, sometimes take rest, recreation. Even the church festivals, religious functions are held between both the countries. So it was decided it will be done. It will not be hampered. However, over a period of time, these clauses have seen some kind of deformation or activity happening not as per the spirits of the letter. So therefore, the governments, both the side governments, sometimes when the fishing vessels are going other side, they are apprehended or fishermen are disturbed, and this comes in report, which is a cause of concern because it is not being followed in the letter and spirit. So the region is not so bad that it was given to them. Obviously, the decision to give that moment was the government's decision at that moment of time. But now, even if it was given with our rights maintained.
Yes.
So we need to provide the support to our fishermen and to the government of Sri Lanka to maintain those clauses and force upon by our Coast Guard, Indian Navy or their police forces to maintain the law and order and let the fishing rights, navigational rights, religious rights be prevailed upon so that this dispute is not there. Else, we can also have a right to demand the island because we gave them with certain concerns and certain privileges and certain clauses.
Okay.
Over to you, Devika.
All right. Major Sudhakarji, bring you into the conversation. Is then the responsibility of the government today to ensure that relations with Sri Lanka are maintained in a way that we can reinforce what was agreed upon and perhaps maybe even revisit the chapter and make certain revisions to it? Or is the focus then on the fact that the Congress made a mistake, supposedly, allegedly, as per the BJP's assessment at this point in time?
Devika, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show. Being a soldier, I have no locus standi nor any entitlement to comment on political decisions of a nation and our country. But as a citizen, as a retired citizen, I have a role and responsibility to call out things. And being a student of geopolitics and national security and strategy, I am convinced that this island should not have been given to Sri Lanka at all. If it has been given, I am nobody to comment. Tactically, operationally, and strategically speaking, it is a blunder in 21st century. We know what is happening. We know that China has got a surveillance facility at Cuckoo's Island. He is looking right into the east coast, all along the Bay of Bengal. He is there at the Wheelers Island. He is there at Arihant Bay, the docking bay at Vishakhapatnam. He is looking at our Sririkota space station. He is looking at our all the nuclear installations. So in order to, I'm a non-technical graduate. I don't have much knowledge. Maybe the captain will be able to throw some light on this. But whatever little I have done research and studied from open media, the surveillance network of China, basically it is based on ground base stations. One of the base stations is at Cuckoo's Island, and its arc has to intersect with a supporting base island or the earth station towards the southern Sri Lanka or a suitable place. To my mind, this is island which China is exactly ideally looking for. Perhaps today we may be raking up the issue, better late than never. You see, in matters of security, there is no timing, there is no scheduling. Anything that comes to our notice, it has to be taken up front. In my opinion, the government present dispensation is doing the right thing by calling it out. By calling it out doesn't give us a solution. We all need to actually put our head together, cerebrally engage. I understand what the Honorable Minister of External Affairs has been saying, that he has engaged, he has sent 21 replies from his file. And that is okay. But has that given us a response? Has the problem been resolved? If the problem has not been resolved, I think there is something to do with the agreement that was signed. First and foremost, I have been listening to the debate since yesterday. I am told that any such kind of a land swapping or the ground swapping, like it happened with Bangladesh, needs to be ratified. In this particular island, giving it to Sri Lanka, I'm given to understand, I'm yet to verify from limited study I have done, that it is devoid of any kind of ratification in the lower house or in the upper house or both the houses. One. Number two, like the captain has brought out, it's very relevantly within the agreement that was made between Sri Lanka and India, there are certain caveats, some clauses, which entitles India to renegotiate. We can revisit. There is a timeline, if I'm not wrong. Again, apologies from my side. I should have come out with these factual details. There is a timeline based on which we can come back to Sri Lanka. There is simply no question of any negotiation. The way China is going, expanding its sphere of influence, come down south to Hambantota, docking its surveillance ship, it is just not possible. We need to take the island back for the larger security, safety, and I would say comfort, peace and harmony in the subcontinent. Back to you, Devika.
Okay. Professor Madhav Narapal, bringing you into the conversation, sir. On the basis of the assessment that has been made by our Navy and Army veterans with us on the panel, I just want to understand from you, then does making this a political matter, or the BJP demanding that the Congress and the DMK apologize to the people of Tamil Nadu, apologize to the people of India, does the politicization of this matter then really help the larger cause, which as per our experts of the armed forces believe that yes, a huge mistake was made, but something then has to be done to rectify it in practical terms today?
Well, Devika, the first thing that is done to rectify a situation is to identify the situation. And there is no doubt this was a horrible blunder. First of all, as the general has correctly said, it is completely and transparently illegal. In fact, if I may say so, it goes against certain statutes and certain parts of our constitution by essentially gratuitously handing over territory which is actually Indian, just 10 miles away from a shore, which is Indian territory. Now, there's been a pattern like this, Devika. Look at Jammu and Kashmir. It's not just POK. The Chinese came and occupied Aksai Chin. They built a road there. Are you trying to tell me that nobody was aware that a road was being built in Aksai Chin, or that that area had been occupied? It would have happened. Gwadar was offered to us on a platter by the Baloch royal family. We declined. Bengal, so many concessions were made. Indus Water Treaty. The fact is, India, unfortunately, in the past, has had a history of surrendering before any kind of conflict. Why? In the interest of good neighborly relations. Each such surrender has been met by more aggressive behavior on the other side, and frankly, contempt for India on the other side. So I would like to say very clearly that it is very likely that if there is going to be any effort to make this the base of the PLA, India needs to ensure that its interests are protected. It can do that by asking the Sri Lankans very politely, and India has helped Sri Lanka in a way that China has not. China has plunged Sri Lanka into debt, into economic disaster. India has always benefited Sri Lanka, a 99-year lease on Katchatheevu Island, because it is intolerable. You have a Hambantota base, intolerable. You have a Chinese berth in Colombo, intolerable for strategic consideration. And this particular island being basically under the control of a regime that itself is heavily influenced by China, it is an intolerable assault on our security and sovereignty. So the DMK may have problems because after all, Congress and DMK are linked together. So Stalin may be reluctant. But I'm surprised that the DMK has protested so much about Katchatheevu Island when the DMK was complicit in the giving away of Katchatheevu to Sri Lanka for reasons that are not clear to me as a strategic analyst. If there were any
Okay.
consultants with strategic analysts, which I'm sure there were not, they would have advised against it. I wonder why this. No, and may I just end this with Devika were pointing out 93,000 Pakistan prisoners of war were just handed over without any concession from Pakistan, nor was even one of them held accountable for the mass murder and genocide they committed. And that was the beginning of the problems that we had in the psyche of the people of Bangladesh. No, not one individual in that genocidal group of people, 100,000 people, were proceeded against. And we gave them all back. And we got exactly zero in return. In fact, we got hostility in return. This has been our record. I am glad that now that record is being corrected. I applaud Minister Jaishankar for correcting that record. And I look forward to concrete action, such as a 99-year lease on Katchatheevu.
Okay. I'm going to bring in Uma Nandanji, but ma'am, I'm just going to have to ask you to fix your video there. It's tilted. I'll come to you in just a moment. We're not being able to see you properly. Captain Shyamkumar, bringing you back into the conversation, sir, I just want to understand from you, is that then on the table right now? Does India have the ability to revisit the Katchatheevu issue with Sri Lanka with the possibility of then putting out some sort of a 99-year lease agreement? What would it take for us to then take this matter forward? That would perhaps be a better way of putting the question.
The maritime boundaries were drawn under certain provisions, under certain clauses, under certain conditions, keeping the interests of the fishermen of the area. Or, in other words, it's not that the Katchatheevu Islands are not being visited by Indian fishermen. Even last year, on the day of the festival, yesterday was Easter. In such festivals, both the sides priests gather there. 2,000, 3,000 fishermen from India go to the island. They celebrate the festivals. So it's not that it is not being done. But over a period of, say, 30 years, 40 years, from 74 until 76 is what was administered by India. And we had the claim of Raja of Ramnad or Madras Presidency has the claim on it. Sri Lankan saying Portuguese had the claim on it. All this went into the background from 1921-23, on which who will control this island kept on. And finally, the political will and the government of the day decided to do this. Now, having decided to do this, this can be disputed why it happened, because somewhere or other, whether it is one island, there are about 70, 80 islands in that area. Katchatheevu is not one of them. There are so many islands from there. It is 25 kilometers away from us. But from there onward, up to Kankesture, Jaffna, North District of Sri Lanka, there are so many islands. So which place you draw the line? It must have been decided by some method, some methodology or some kind of rationale. So we got to understand that first. I have been on this island, I know many times. 85, we have been maintaining in Pak State, Indian Navy and Coast Guard has been maintaining constant presence of patrolling by warships. I have done patrolling in this area in 85, 86 continuously, and during Pavan 87, 88, I did it other way. You know what I mean by during the Tamil problems. So we have a proper vigil at this area. We have certain provisions and we expected to maintain them so that the island is exploited the way it was supposed to be exploited in later of spirits. So Indian Navy, Coast Guard carries out certain kind of meetings, and they do release fishermen, government level, at the lower level, at local administration, Rameswaram administration, the STM there carries out certain kind of resolutions on this. They do this, but obviously it has become a sore point because there have been some naval presence on the island now. There have been some kind of resistance by Sri Lanka to not let people come. Slowly they want to take it over and not let the other rights take place which we wanted to. So therefore, obviously the government of the day today, whatever we have the political will, whatever the way we have the relation between India and Sri Lanka, we have to sort it out over the table so that the letter and spirit, the province are maintained and we continue to exploit the island. Else, we revoke, we revisit and try to redefine the maritime boundaries in Pak State so that we get our due and this area is not exploited by wrong people who has eyes on the island and over our maritime boundary and assets. Over to you,
Okay,
Deepika.
all right. Uma Nandan, bring you to the conversation, ma'am. Then what really is the political will at this point in time as far as the Katchatheevu issue is concerned? This is not the first time that it's been brought up. It has been an issue between India and Sri Lanka for many years now. It's also been an issue in the Indian Parliament, has been raised time and again. But we've seen in the past that the matter is usually raised before elections, either in the state or national elections, and then the chatter around it dies down. So what really is the larger intention of the government at this point in time, beyond
No,
getting
please,
an apology from the Congress and the DMK?
No, I'm sorry. BJP has been raising this issue every time. It has been the DMK party which raises this issue, forgetting that they are the culprits of this along with the Congress. And I would like to remind the word of Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, inconsequential. And there was another previous panelist who said about the genocide and how Mr. Nehru handed over the Bangladesh.
Umaji, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your camera is still, we still cannot see you, ma'am.
See, I think I'm outside. I told you I'm out on a campaign trail, but I have no choice because I'm outside on the campaign trail. You'll have to put up with this. I would only like to say that we have been raising this issue, and the DMK very conveniently forgetting that along with the Congress, they have been the culprits in this issue. And once again, let me tell you, there have been innumerable blunders by the Congress government and Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi. If I want, I have to take the Kashmir issue.
Okay, we seem to be having a lot of trouble there with Umaji's connection. We can't even hear her now. My apologies, Ms. Anandan. If you can hear me, we cannot hear you. We cannot see you, ma'am. We'll try to connect you on the phone. We'll try to connect you on the phone line. Let me bring Mejan Sudhakarji back into the conversation. Mejan Sudhakarji, what do you make of then Professor Madhav Lanapad or Captain Shyam Kumar's assessment? Does India have the bandwidth at the moment to revisit the issue with Sri Lanka? And on what basis do we then revisit the matter?
Excellent question. You have raised compliments to you. I fully endorse what Professor Nalapat has said. I mean, he is a man of wisdom and has gone into great deal of depth. I have highest of regards for him. And so is Captain Shyam Kumar. If Captain Shyam Kumar has gone on the ground to the island territories, actually my role and responsibility in special operation was this only. One of the tasks was this. Let me foretell or forewarn the people of our country that Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal, sooner or later, we are going to witness India out campaign. Sooner or later, Maldives, it has happened. Bangladesh, it is picking up momentum.
Yes.
Sri Lanka, just a matter of time. Devika, isn't this good enough for warning or caution for all of us to actually, perceive the red line? When are you going to get, kicked up and take a suitable military-like action? The red line has been crossed. Professor Nalapad has brought out I would say in a very wise articulation, that it's about time, that there are no elections, no boundaries. Security doesn't see this party or that party. There is only one common enemy, which is clapping sitting in Beijing. That common enemy is United Front Works Department, the magic weapon. And that magic weapon of Mao Zedong is playing very well. 220% rise of budget has taken place between 2018 till 2024. I may be wrong, but this is what I got from the open media. I'm open to corrections. What does it mean? It means that it will involve in any kind of penetration into the political elite class people in any democracy, subvert the mind, and create a new kind of a narrative. Second, they will do is to penetrate into the media houses. And third and most important thing is that they're doing what they're actually doing. And that kind of a radicalization which is taking place, time is not very far, Devika, that India has to take a wake-up call. I'm glad that the point is being raked up at the time of election so that it goes into the mandate of either of the parties and it is taken up seriously. There is no option, Devika, but to take the island back from Sri Lanka sooner the better. Back to you, please.
Okay, Professor Nalapat, I'll leave the last word with you. When we say that it is strategically now important for India to, on a very rapid and urgent basis, revisit the Katchatheevu Island matter, are we then looking at doing this diplomatically? Are we looking at doing this forcefully? Or does it have to be a combination of both? Or are we trying to go, perhaps go the China way, that you make certain investments in certain areas and then you put it up on a lease, as you had also suggested earlier?
Devika, frankly, if you have got a reputation that you can be taken advantage of and you will not react, then there is an incentive for everybody to take advantage of you. Unfortunately, in past decades, India got that reputation, and it's time to ensure that the interests of the 1.4 billion people of India are protected. Every day, fishermen from Tamil Nadu are living in fear, and many of them are being arrested. And you know, the captain was Shyam Kumar was talking. The fact is, every single part of this agreement was torn to shreds by the Sri Lankan side, and they adopted a policy of implacable hostility. And only much later has some kind of a reconciliation been given, in which Indian fishermen are given 1/20th of the rights that they should enjoy under the agreement. If you are happy, let's say you want something, and you're happy with 1/20th, oh, that is great, I'm in a great shape. That's different. That's a mindset. But in my view, it's a wrong mindset. The fact is, what I'm asking for is what is due to India and to Indian fishermen. And this is a good way out, a 99-year lease. And may I point out one more thing? Every single base in Sri Lanka, every single base in Myanmar, every single base in Pakistan, every single base in Afghanistan, every single base in Bangladesh that is occupied by a hostile power, the PLA, is a dagger into India, and it should be treated as such. The point is, you can be nice if the other party responds. If the other party responds to your niceness by stabbing you in the back, well, I don't know. I mean, if your response should be to be even nicer.
Okay, all right. That's all the time that we have, but I thank all of our experts and panelists for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.